Today's episode of the E&G podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine Bachelor and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to animal rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Vale are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission, to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
Dude, we may have landed Luke, and you can't pick up the fucking phone so we can go schoolgirl crazy about this? I don't want to fucking talk to Luke.
On a scale of like 1 to 10, what would you say your excitement level was when you found out we were going to be able to chat with Luke?
Well, first off, we were dealing with Luke's PR person for a while because we reached out to a bunch of people a long time ago, and some people got back right away and said like, oh yeah, I'd love to come on. And some people didn't respond, obviously, and then some people said, oh, hit up ABC, and some people said, hit up my PR person like Luke. And then as soon as you told me and we posted the thing about the Bachelor basically screwing him, I was like, well, now's a good time to hit him up because I'm pretty sure he doesn't have to, like, he's pretty sure he wants to talk to everybody or whatever. So I just drunkenly emailed a bunch of people that night. We got a lot of responses, and which I think also helped because it was like the night the Bachelor in Paradise was ending, so I think a lot of people's schedules opened up and they were allowed to talk more. But yeah, he immediately was like, yeah, I'm in. And I was very excited to talk to him, and this guy is like the best dude I've ever talked to in my entire life.
He was everything we've been hoping for and more. No, he was great though, man. He was super funny. He was making time between flights. We caught him in the airport. So the audio is a little in and out at certain times, but overall it was good. And it was right on the heels, too, we caught him, of Chris Harrison's comments, right? You'll recall. So that came out that there was maybe some questions about Luke's sincerity. So we were able to chat with him how he felt about that, everything that happened with The Bachelor, a lot of stuff that we had not heard before, and also his thoughts on people like JoJo and a lot of his friends from the season. So it was actually a great little catch-up that we had with Luke, and super excited to get it out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to mention that he was on a plane. He was boarding the plane when we first were talking to him, so we cut all that out because it's just him boarding a plane, which I'm sure some of his super fans would probably be like, I want to hear how Luke boards a plane. But I'm not giving anything away, but just to give an example of how awesome this guy is, we always ask people at the end, hey, do you want to like plug anything you're doing? And we're thinking career stuff, or hit up my Snapchat or my Instagram. This guy, who is an aspiring country singer, didn't bring up his social media, didn't bring up his singing, and just goes, yeah, I'm working with it. Said something about, I mean, they'll listen to it. But basically, I'm working with this charity. We're trying to bring, music to injured veterans. And it's like, God damn, this guy's fucking perfect.
He's amazing, man. Again, it's everything we were hoping for. And I know the listeners are going to enjoy this one.
Yep, there we go. All right.
Cool. Well, before we get started, I just wanted to thank you for your service. I grew up in a military town. We really appreciate that.
Awesome.
And I want to say what's up,
man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, man. And I wanted to say what's up too, Luke. This is Ian. We've been fans of yours since day one, man, on the back. And so it's been fun to track you through this journey. And you should also know that as along with a lot of women, my fiance is like one of your biggest fans. So you have plenty of them out there.
That's awesome.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So first and foremost, man, we wanted to obviously just chat with you about the news that's come out most recently with The Bachelor. Obviously, that was going to be you. How did that all come about, man? Like, when were you first told that you were going to be that guy, and kind of how did everything play out?
Yeah, so, I mean, honestly, as soon as the last season was over, there's kind of an opportunity kind of thrown out there and saying, I know that's tough right now, getting over this relationship, speaking of, the Bachelorette and the relationship that I had with JoJo. But they, it's one of these things that, hey, over the summer, we might like to work with you in the future, and let's keep in touch. And so then as the summer months go by, we stay in contact, and then, there's a whole process that goes along with that as they, check feedback from the audience and the public and kind of see how the show airs out and how people feel about it. And then you come in and you start the actual, casting contract process, and meet with the network and all the people, involved in the decision-making process. And then they start, moving forward to announcement days and what, the season looks like and that type of thing. So, and that's where we got to, and that all came to a head, the day before I flew out, after I was checked into the flight and had my bags packed, like all the articles have said. So, yeah.
So, Luke, obviously, like, you're one of the fan favorites and everything, so it's kind of a thing, like a no-brainer that you would be one of the people considered to be the next Bachelor. I just started watching the show, during Ben Higgins' season, so I haven't been watching the show very much.
Okay.
But it seemed obvious to me, like, oh, it's probably going to be Luke or maybe this guy. And then the executive producer starts teasing, is it going to be Luke? Is it going to be Chase? Do they let you know?
Right.
Yeah, do they let you know, yeah, man, like, we're, obviously they're really into you, but we're also considering a couple other people, and they tell you who that is?
Right.
Or how's that play?
Right. Directly, they don't disclose to us during that casting process of the summer who else they're talking to, but when we get to Men Tell All and you kind of realize what's been done in the past and who the fan favorites might be, you can kind of look to your left and right, and you figure out who, at least from JoJo's season or the past season, would be in contention. And so I think that for us it was Chase and I that we realized that it was really coming down between us, at least for that season, and we had no clue that anybody from another season was even in the running or in consideration, because that's never been done before. I don't believe it's been done before where they brought somebody directly from Bachelor in Paradise straight into the Bachelor season. So
right. So how long did you know? Obviously it wasn't for sure, but were you under the impression it was for sure that you were the next Bachelor?
I knew that, in the past, there had been some switch ups, even if back from when Ari, and Sean, Sean Lowe had his season and Ari kind of had a last minute change. I knew that, what happened to Kayla, as the Bachelorette, when JoJo, came in and was a last minute, switch. So, over the course of the summer, I was, asking producers, I was like, hey, I'm putting my life on hold for this thing, if that's if this is something that's going to happen, I'd like you guys just to be as open and honest with me as you possibly can, so that I'm not Caleb or have that last minute switcheroo done on me.
Right.
And they just kept assuring me, they're like, no, I promise, you're our guy. You might hear other names, but don't worry about that. You're our guy. You have been from day one, all this kind of stuff. So anyway, and then I finally kind of let the pessimism go as we get into the, legal agreements and stuff are passed, and done and complete, and a plan is made for the future, and a flight is booked by the network for me to board and fly out there for an announcement, and then it doesn't happen. So
right.
Anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So that ultimately ended up coming into fruition, which sucks. How,
Right.
Luke, do you feel like you were portrayed on the show? We've had a chance to speak with a bunch of folks, including Robbie and some others, and it seems like editing is a huge factor. Do you feel like they kind of captured who you are as a person, or did you wish that they would have showed a different side of you as well?
Yeah, I was really pleased with how they portrayed me as a person. For the most part. I mean, sure, there's a limited amount of time. You can't really show every side of you on the screen. They went to a lot of the, the deeper parts of my story with the military and and some of the things that, you know, had kind of shaped me and been challenges in my life in the past. And so it was you know, harder for them to kind of show the fun side of me on, you know, the limited dates. And so I saw some feedback from fans. They're like, I don't know if this guy likes to have fun or is he too serious or whatever.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, I'm probably like one of the most goofy people, you know, that you'll meet when I'm in fun mode and when I can have fun, you know. So it's like, I didn't get to see that side as much, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't a big deal. Everything was, as far as how my character was portrayed, was I thought very spot on and accurate. So yeah.
Yeah, you kind of.
I guess the other edit, I guess that was funny, was that a lot of people kind of got the idea that I was kind of, you know, from my hometown date, that literally they were like, oh, JoJo probably doesn't want to go live on a ranch and like, you know, milk cows and raise chickens every day, you know, and like they kind of felt like that might be my lifestyle or whatever, and that's not exactly, it's where I came from, but you know, that's not my day-to-day lifestyle now. So
right. Well, I mean, the way you said that they portrayed you very serious and stuff, that's what we always said. I mean, I'm like, this guy probably has another side to him, but they're only showing that he's so serious all the time, and that's the way that they obviously framed your character. I wanted to ask you, we were shocked when you went home. We didn't see that coming, and then you don't know if that's how everyone sees it, but every single person we've talked to, and I have some like comedian friends come on, and you know, girls, guys, everyone says, yeah, like how the fuck did Luke go home so soon? I can't believe he went home so soon, and everybody seems to have that exact same take on it. So is that basically the feedback you've been getting?
Yeah, that's it, man. It was a huge shock in that moment. And you know, real talk, it was a huge shock for me then. I mean, things were going great between me and her every minute, every day we were together up until that night, that moment. And but you know, it's tough to be in that lead position. It really is. You've got to, you know, as it gets close to the end, you've got to kind of figure out, you know, probably, you know, going into hometowns who your 99%, you know, pick is, and then at that point, it's kind of like, okay, now what do I, you know, how do I choose between these other guys or not, you know? And so, you know, I don't blame her for you know, the timing of that pick or anything like that. But yeah, it was a shock. I thought that you know, JoJo and I had a really good chance at that point, you know. And anyway.
Definitely. And Luke too. I mean, another thing that we saw on camera is you pulled out all the stops and you basically did everything that you could to show her that you cared about her, besides say those words, "I love you." Like, is that a regret now? Like, do you look back at that and say, "Damn, if I would have done that, maybe I would have got another week"? Or how do you feel?
Yeah. No. Yeah. In that moment, you know, in looking back, you know, at that point, I should have. Yeah, I think it may have changed the outcome for us, but it was a delayed thing that I was actually trying to get some things done on the hometown date that weren't able to happen, just due to some outside constraints and some things like that. And so I just had a moment built up and it kind of planned out, and I really didn't have time to wait another day to plan it out, but that was kind of what I was doing. And you know, it was one of those kind of things. So you just, with that show, you got to take advantage of the time and the moments that you have when you have them, and sometimes you got to pull a Robbie and just say it on your very first day.
Dude, I'm gonna be honest, man, and Ian agrees. What you said though was the same thing as "I love you." You're like, oh, like you're my world. When I picture my world, it's with you. And then then we always see is JoJo going to camera going, he just didn't say "I love you," and we're all sitting there like, well, what did he say? What he said was just as good, as maybe even better.
Right. It was that completely in my mind. But I guess, you know, in her mind, she was really waiting on you know, buzzwords, and so there was a difference in opinion there for us, I guess. So.
Totally. And Luke too. I mean, outside of just the initial attraction that you had with JoJo, which was obviously there, what else about her was attractive to you? Like, what were you kind of into her about? Like, what were the qualities that you liked?
Yeah, I mean, she was a sweetheart. She's got a heart of gold. She's just that, you know, just super sexy girl next door that, you know, you kind of grow up seeing yourself with, and just somebody that's a great person and smart, and there was a whole lot that I liked about her. So
Absolutely, man. I mean, especially how everything's played out these last couple weeks, of course, but then also just since your time from being on the show, would you consider being back in the Bachelor-related world maybe again? Is that still an opportunity for you down the road?
You know, at this point, it would have been, I think, that if I come off the show and not had this just recent experience with how things were handled, if it was just like, yeah, you know, would you like to try this again? Maybe be the Bachelor, maybe not, maybe do Bachelor in Paradise. You know, if it was just kind of very honest and open and just options out there, I think that I would have been open to it. You know, but after this last week and kind of how things went, it put a pretty bad taste in my mouth about, you know, putting my life on hold and really committing to that process and to them and to the organization off screen, and then not getting that same respect in return, and just kind of being used, feeling like I was used as a pawn in a way, and I need that honesty from their side. You know, but
absolutely. I mean, that's fair too. That's like kind of the very minimum that you would expect. It's a two-way street
exactly.
a little bit. And I also wanted to give you a chance to just respond, right, and clear this up. I know it looked like, and we don't try to look at the gossip stuff, but our fans will flag stuff, send it to us.
Right.
And Chris Harrison mentioned that, you know, sincerity is a huge thing, right?
Right.
They may have had some mixed feelings about your sincerity, or that you might have been wanting just to focus on your music career. Do you just want to speak to that and just kind of close that as well?
Yeah, you know, my first thought when I saw that is just, you know, when somebody kind of slights my character, that kind of gets underneath my skin. And that's the first time that you know, Chris or anybody from the organization really has slighted my character in public like that. And, you know, my thought was, you know, if I've ever been anything in my life, it's a person of sincerity. You know, from my time back at, you know, from going to West Point and being in the military, and like every relationship that I've been in, you know, sure, I've made mistakes, but like sincerity, like it hurts a lot for somebody to slight that side of me. So anyway, yeah, I didn't appreciate that comment, but.
Yeah, it's got to be annoying to see. I have a question. We talked to a bunch of people from the shows, and it seems like there's a huge, like, incestuous, like, they all kind of hang out, you know? And from what we've seen of you, it looks like you're friends with James Taylor, right?
Yeah.
You're buddies with him.
Right.
Which we've been trying to get him on, too, because he seems like a really genuine, nice guy.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, we always really liked him. Who else are you close with? And are there people that you are just kind of turned off by that you didn't like?
I think, you know, the natural connection for me with, you know, buddies from the show is, you know, the guys that were in Nashville. You know, so, you know, Wells and I, we've got a great relationship. James is in and out of Nashville some. And then, you know, we've got, you know, mutual contacts and stuff, even way back from Texas. And so we've got to hang out some over the summer. You know, I've kept in contact with James Fuertes. He's also in Nashville. Evan Bass is a good dude, and he's there in Nashville. So, you know, that kind of that Nashville connection has been who I've seen, you know, most frequently and talked to. But I've got some events coming up where I'll see Robbie and Chase now, and be able to catch up with them. And we're going to be at iHeart Music Festival here in a couple weeks in Vegas together, and so that'll be good to see those guys and kind of catch up and see how they're doing. So.
Right.
Nice, man.
Is there anyone that you didn't like?
I mean, you know, Chad, I chuckle every time, you know, when I see Chad or interact with him or whatever. He's funny. You know, there's his approach to the whole thing. And I get, you know, somewhat of, you know, why he's just kind of leaned into his character and who he is as a person. I see what he's doing. I would never do that myself or try to, you know, be that guy. But, you know, I can get along with him. I get along with most anybody, man. From all my years in the military, I learned to get along with really anybody and any personality. But yeah, there was nobody that just really bothered me, you know, that I just couldn't have a conversation with. Yeah.
You know, you kind of touched on about the military thing. There were multiple people on your season that were in the military, and it was kind of, I mean, I remember in the like Men Tell All or something, you spoke about how you either come out of it one way or the other, and it seems that a lot of those guys did not get along because I think Chad was in the military and Alex was, and they really butted heads. So, what do you think? I mean, were you in a different branch of the military than them, or how did that play out?
Yeah, I actually was. Both those guys were in the Marines, and I think that's what I was saying on Men Tell All. I was in the Army, they're in the Marines, and you know, I don't know exactly what their career history was in the Marines, but they're pretty abrasive personalities, and there's a lot of young Marines that you know, just from the nature of what they go through in training and the environment they're in, as a young Marine, they pick up abrasive personalities a lot and abrasive behaviors, and that's kind of what both those guys showed at certain times during the season is just abrasive attitudes and stuff. And so, I mean, I knew that history going into it, so I understood, you know, that side of them. But still, it's like, hey guys, you might want to just chill out just a little bit, you know, just calm down. It's gonna be okay, boys. But
exactly.
Anyway.
And I mean, Robbie mentioned that when we chat with him, it's almost like you're in a little bit of a silo, right? You have your blinders on and you just can only focus on your relationship. I mean, to be involved in all their drama, it's just going to bring you down with it.
Right.
Someone like Jordan, I think Robbie mentioned that was probably just one of his closest buddies in the house during and throughout the process. He got kind of a bad rap, you know, maybe some of the edit. There's a lot of questions. He's been all over the tabloids.
Sure.
What was your take on Jordan, man? I mean, it seems like him and JoJo have a good relationship going, so wish them the best. But outside of that, him as a person, like, do you think he got a bad rap, or what was that about?
You know, Jordan and I, we got along fine. No issues between us. You know, we both played college football, and you know, we kind of had that connection, and you know, some of my friends played with him in the NFL and stuff. So I mean, we had a great connection. Now that, you know, he was in Nashville for a while, and so since I've been back to Nashville after the show this summer, I've met several people that knew him and his time at Vanderbilt or his time there in Nashville. And so I've heard, you know, different sides of Jordan through those other people, and some of it's good and some of it's bad. So, you know, I don't know his whole story, but yeah, there's definitely people out there that aren't a fan of Jordan, and some that are. So,
and why are they not fans of Jordan? What do they say?
You know, I think there were some folks that the ones that weren't fans were just, they kind of reflected the same thing that a lot of the tabloids were giving him a bad rep about. You know, but again, that's something I can't confirm. They're just stories to me, like they are from the tabloids. And if Jordan's a quote unquote player, I haven't seen that, and I wouldn't put that on him. But you know, there are people out there that do, and obviously all the tabloids do. So
it's hearsay for sure.
Right.
So we want to be mindful of your time, and we want to also give you an opportunity to speak to the fans in regards to anything you want to promote, your social media, also your music. Okay. So go ahead and do a quick shout out, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. I just, first of all, I just appreciate all the love and support from the fans this summer. It's been unreal, and it's really encouraged me to just hear back from everyone that's just you know, talked about, you know, how that my story meant something to them, and so that's been incredible. First of all, so I want to thank them for that. You know, one of the things I'm passionate about being back here in Nashville is this nonprofit I work with, and you might have seen it on my social media. It's called creativevets.org. And so as a veteran myself and songwriter back in Nashville, this charity is great in that we bring wounded combat veterans in to meet with A-list songwriters in LA and also in Nashville, and help them tell their story through music. They also do it with visual arts at the Chicago Art Institute, and it's just an incredible charity that I'm really passionate about, and it's creativevets.org. So,
wow, man, that's a beautiful thing, man. We'll make sure to include that in our show notes, and then also just in all the notes whenever we post and promote the pod. Hey, Luke,
Okay.
man, we appreciate you making it happen, man. I know you're in the airport. We'd love to get you back on for a little bit more of an in-depth discussion,
do it.
man. I know you're a deep guy. We got to get like your book recommendations. It looks like chess. Like,
man.
we can dive deep. But again, we appreciate your time, man.
Cool.
Yeah,
Thanks,
Luke.
Jeff. Thanks, Ian.
Thanks
Y'all
so
have
much,
a great
man.
day.
You too, buddy.
All right.
Hey everyone, Ian and I just want to take a quick moment to thank you so much for all the support you're giving our podcast. Our listener base is growing very fast. There's a couple things you guys can do that'll help out even more. If you go to our Instagram and tag friends in our posts, our Instagram is ENG Podcast. Also, if you can go to iTunes and rate us 5 stars and leave a review, that helps us jump up in the listings when people search for anything Bachelor related. And lastly, and most importantly, please follow our friend Bachelor_Nation on Instagram. That's a partner for us, and they're really helping us out. Bachelor_Nation. Thanks so much. Today's episode of the ENG Podcast is sponsored by our good friends at Clothing by Owl. All you Bachelor fans will recognize this name as they are the company behind the hugely popular Wine Bachelor and Yoga Pants tank top. What you may not know is that they give back a percentage of every item sold to Animal Rescue, and that notable Bachelor alums like JoJo Fletcher, Caitlin Bristow, Lauren Bushnell, Ben Higgins, and Nick Vale are all huge supporters. We're happy to offer our listeners 20% off when you visit clothingbyowl.com. Simply add the discount code ENG, that's EANDG, to save on all your Bachelor gear. And be sure to follow them on social media at Clothing by Owl.
Jeff and I are doggy dads, which is why we're so excited to be partnering with our newest sponsor, Puppies Make Me Happy. They have a super simple mission to make the happiest clothes on earth, which they do. And we know our listeners will love this brand just as much as we do. Plus, we're excited to help spread a little happiness ourselves by offering listeners 20% off all merchandise by using discount code ENG. That's EANDG at checkout. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at Puppies Make Me Happy.
JoJo.